Good morning, everybody. We're so happy to see so many of you here. And I just want to further explain the purpose of our presentation this morning that Professor Caldwell and I are going to lead. You have on the table already a set of handouts called the Sweet 16 Rules. We want each of you to have a copy of those. They're front and back. And it's not that it's limited to only 16 rules of writing. There are many, many, many more. But these are 16 that are prevalent, that we find to be predominant in student writing. And so we're highlighting those. And many of those do touch upon grammar. And some important distinctions between words that people often get confused about. And sometimes, not putting those commas before or after the subordinating conjunction, because those kinds of rules. But primarily what Professor Caldwell and I are going to focus on this morning are the common pitfalls that concern composition in general. And that means getting launched into essay writing and the kinds of mistakes that are often made that we would like to preempt for your sake before you make those mistakes. So, what we would like for you to do, you notice you have notepads on your table. And if you will tear off sheets so that everybody at the table has a piece of paper to write on. We have also distributed pens, so there should be enough pens for everybody on the table. Because what we want you to do is take notes over this information. This is not going to be on a PowerPoint. There will be an activity in a few minutes that will be on PowerPoint, but this requires listening skills, which, as you can figure out, that's one of the pitfalls, the common pitfalls, is not listening carefully. So take notes so that you are then able to answer some questions later on. Okay, ready to get started? Let's go. So what are the common pitfalls in comp classes? Number one, not attending class consistently. Sure, you can meet someone in the class, get contact information from that person, and get notes from that person. But let me tell you, there is no substitution, none, for being there in that class and getting that information yourself. Relying on somebody else's idea of what's important to write down may not necessarily correspond with what you would think is important to write down. Therefore, you're going to miss out on valuable information. So class attendance is critical when you are enrolled in courses. The second one, not taking notes on the subject material that you can later decipher and understand. That means, first of all, being able to read your own handwriting. Right? But secondly, taking notes if you're using your own shorthand, your own method for abbreviation, that's fine. But be sure that when you go back to look at your notes, that you know what they mean. And that's one reason why we're having you take notes during this part of the session, is so that you can listen for the key points and know what's important to remember. Number three, not reading the assignment prompt carefully and all the way through, and listening to the instructor as he or she covers the material with you. That means being present at all times when your instructor is giving you the parameters of the assignment. Even if you have it in front of you, often the instructor will stop and insert additional comments and information and tips that are not in the printed copy. So you want to maybe make notes on the printed copy in the margins of those additional reminders and tips. Because so much of teaching, folks, is spontaneous. Many times we create these prompts, and then after the fact, we remember other things we want to tell you to include. So that's the importance of the note-taking. and going through that prompt carefully. The fourth is a natural follow-up of number 3. Not asking questions of clarification when confused or uncertain about any part of the assignment. Let me clue you in on something. Often students are hesitant to ask questions of clarification because they don't want to appear stupid in front of the others. But I will guarantee you that chances are there is at least one other person in the room, if not more than one other person, who is equally confused or uncertain, who is also hesitant to raise his or her hand. And by you being the brave soul to do it, you have just opened the pathway for other people to understand and get clarification at the same time. So it is important to ask those questions of clarification. And I don't know an instructor here at the college that is bothered by hands going up asking for questions. We welcome them. Because once we know you understand what's asked of you, we're pretty sure you're going to do a better job in your response, and you will do a better job in your essay. Number 5, not taking the time to learn the location of your instructor's office and taking advantage of his or her office hours if you need one-on-one help. Sometimes students never go by to visit their instructor, don't even know which part of the campus their instructor is located in. Learn early on how to locate the instructor, and we are required contractually to have office hours, 5 hours a week. Most of us are available more than those 5 hours a week, but what we have posted outside our office door is a schedule that tells you exactly when we will be there, as we post in our syllabus. So we don't put those hours there just for show. We put those hours to invite you and welcome you to take advantage of our being available and accessible to you. Number 6, not taking a copy of the assignment with you if you go to the Writing Center, which is located in the library, for additional help with the writing tutor. Those folks there are there to assist you, but if you come in with a draft of an essay and they don't have the writing prompt available to look at, they can't tell if you're following instructions. And you may say, well, I want feedback on this. Well, part of the feedback is whether or not you're addressing what the instructor has asked of you. So always take your writing assignment prompt with you so the tutor knows exactly what the instructor is wanting from you, what that product is supposed to look like. Then that enables the tutor to better assist and facilitate that writing session with you. Number 7, and these are some of the biggies, not complying with all of the parameters of the assignment. This includes the due date of the assignment. Instructors have due dates for a reason. It's to keep you on track and to make sure that you respond by the time that the assignment needs to be turned in. They're not there just as random dates. They're there because we observe deadlines. The format for the assignment. In the humanities, we tend to use the Modern Language Association, MLA format. Okay, so often you will hear an instructor say, be sure that your heading is in MLA format. Be sure your margins adhere to the MLA format. Be sure your citations follow the MLA format. That's what it's referring to. It's a particular style. And so if that is listed in the prompt, That's what the instructor is going to be expecting. The length requirement of the assignment, so that it's not optional how many pages your assignment should be. Because often, if left to devices, a student will say, well, I can say everything I want to say in a page and a half. The instructor may feel that you can't do an adequate job unless it's 3 pages. So if it says a certain length requirement, then you need to follow that. The point of view and verb tense stipulated for the assignment. Often assignments are very specific about which point of view, first person or third person. First person uses the pronoun I. Third person refers to someone, people, individuals, a person. Okay? Verb tense, present or past, or sometimes a combination. But the instructor will stipulate which tense and which point of view are required for the assignment. And sometimes that will differ from one assignment to the next. So don't go by what you've already done in a previous assignment. You have to keep up with the current assignment parameters. And lastly, but so important, so crucial, the absolute necessity to proofread. Proofread your writing before you submit it. And there are 2 methods of proofreading. Most of us know that the visual method of proofreading, of rereading, of reading over again what you have already written, looking for those typos, the common misspellings, maybe misplaced commas. But there's another form of proofreading that is absolutely essential because it works in conjunction with the visual, and that is reading your paper aloud. And that doesn't mean you have to read it in front of an audience. You don't have to drag your sibling into the room or hold a parent hostage or make your dog sit in front of you and listen. You can simply read this aloud to yourself, but let your ear find the errors that your eye cannot detect. Because the eye is looking for certain errors, but the ear will hear sentences that don't flow smoothly. They will hear sentences that are not complete, where you'll stop and say, whoa, does that make sense? I don't think so. So if you do the oral part of the proofreading in conjunction with the visual, I think you'll be surprised how many more errors you will catch, and then you'll be able to revise your paper so that you turn in a copy that you are proud of. And that's ultimately the goal here, isn't it? Be proud of what you have written when you turn it into your instructor. Don't be reluctant to turn it in because you know you wrote it in the 11th hour, which means you didn't have a chance to do a very good job, and you certainly didn't have a chance to proofread. But take the time to put the energy into a piece that you will be very pleased to turn in. Okay, Professor Caldwell?
Okay, we're going to get to the kind of conclusion of this, or wrap up to kind of evaluate and test what these 7 steps that Professor Joseph just went over. So really quickly, I just want to show of hands of how many of you had an actual essay due within the next 2 weeks. Show of hands, actual essay. Now, keep those hands up, keep them up. Now, those of you that know the due date of the assignment, continue to keep your hands up. Who wants to tell me when the due date of the first, I'm assuming the first essay. Friday. Friday. Any other different dates? Keenan?
Friday.
13th. Friday the 13th. They can have a double meeting, couldn't it, Brian? Friday 13th. Anyone beyond this week? Anyone beyond this week? So most of us are collecting the first essay this week, and it's usually... Which one? 24. Very good. 24th, so you have a little bit more time with that one. Or those folks that are due on Friday the 13th, we want to take that literally, right? We want to make sure that we have a perfected paper. So what we're going to do is, in your groups, if you haven't already done so, go ahead and get a chance to get acquainted. I know some of you have sat with the peers in your comp classes or other classes, but if you haven't, go ahead and get acquainted with at least 2 or 3 people at your table because you're going to work together momentarily. That involves talking,
interacting,
I think today should be a more taught in school or any work activity.
and give you 3 copies. Okay?
I was like 7 and it was my birthday. My birthday.
Okay, we're ready to get started with this. We're going to do what we call in my class kind of a friendly competition with this. And so each table should have at least 3 copies of this sample assignment that Professor Joseph provided. And for some of you, this is probably very familiar because this is your first essay prompt, correct? And so what I'm going to do is go through a few slides kind of giving you the instructions of what we're going to do, but I'm going to go through them pretty quickly for sake of time. So there needs to be at least 2 people of that group, or 6 or 7, that are really taking some notes on this so that you can keep up to speed. So the first part of the process are simply the instructions, which you should be given before every assignment. And I'm going to read through them because the print is a little small. The first thing you're going to do is, as a group, respond to the following questions that will be presented momentarily regarding the essay assignment, which you should have at your table. That says Essay 1, 1301. Based on the notes that you have taken during this presentation by Professor Joseph. The second step is deliberate. One group member, and I would say the person that writes the most legibly, delegate one group member to record the group responses on the notepad provided. Okay? And so you have the tools to do that, the notepad and the pen. Step 3 is, after all group responses have been recorded, have another group member signify completion by standing up with a neon note card in hand. So now this is going to be the tricky part. Do you all have that neon note card?
everybody should have, every table should have.
Okay, we have that. Okay. Once a group has been identified as having completed all of the answers, that person with the note card will jump to their feet with that note card in hand. Okay? He's already ready to jump. He doesn't know the questions, but he's ready. Okay, so now I'm going to give you the actual questions, and it's based upon this assignment. So you need to make sure that there are maybe 2 sets of eyes on each one of the 3 that you have. Okay, number 1. According to this assignment, what format style must be followed?
You have to do all the answers first before you hold up the card.
Again, question 1. According to this assignment, what format style must be followed? writing it.
Whoa,
Remember
write it
writing
down. Don't
on
call
the
it out.
notepad. On the notepad.
Don't give the answer out because then you might not win the winning paper.
We're moving on to question 2.
Okay, stay up with it, folks.
Question 2. From what point of view should this paper be written and why?
Well, this is a twofold question, okay? From what point of view, and once you've identified that from the prompt, then explain why that point of view would be the one chosen.
We're moving on to question 3. What is the specific subject of this essay? What is the specific subject matter of this essay? We're moving to question 4. Where should the thesis statement be positioned? Going to question 5. What is the minimum length requirement for this paper? What is the minimum length requirement for this paper? Then one last question. Although this advice does not appear in the actual writing prompt, what step is considered an absolute necessity before submitting any writing assignment? We have someone that's up already. Oh, okay, let's see if he gets them right, and then we'll you were second, and then he was third.
Okay, you need to read off your answers.
For number 1, I got MLA formats.
Okay.
Number 2 was first point of view, and that's because you're telling your story. Number 3 is making a difficult decision and weighing in an option. Number 4 was the last sentence of the introduction.
Good.
Number 5, 2.5 pages to 3 pages.
Okay.
And then 6 is proofread.
Perfect.
All right. Good job.
We have a little a prize for this group. I had went and got $150 gift cards for y'all. They got lost. So once we locate those, I'll track you down and get those to you. But in the meantime, I have a nifty notepad for you. Any questions really quickly? Any questions that you could ask that you may not normally ask? A good notepad. Genuine leather, maybe.
High quality vinyl.
High quality vinyl. High quality vinyl. Any questions? Any questions? Nothing?
Any comments or feedback? Did anyone learn something from this last hour that you did not know before coming in to this session? And would you like to share what you learned? Eric?
I learned my assignment was due on Wednesdays, that's right.
Anyone else? Oh, don't be bashful. To proofread more often. Okay. If you only come away with one more piece of information than what you had before, then that's right there, a bonus.
The tidbit I learned over developmental writing over the summer was if you read your paper backwards, from the bottom to the top, read each sentence backwards, not actually backwards, but if you'll start from the bottom and read to the top, you'll find mistakes.
Okay, that's a good strategy too. Start at the end and work your way back to the beginning. All right? Anyone else? Or would anyone like to share a personal strategy that works for him or her that wasn't brought up at today's session?
Basically, proofreading your paper like 3 times is always a good idea to make sure you catch any grammatical errors that you might not notice on the first 2 passes.
Thank you. Proofreading, obviously, you've discovered is a very important step in finalizing that last draft.
One of the notes that Professor Joseph pointed out was knowing where to get to your instructor and where they're located. So I guess this would be the second bonus question. I want to know if there's anyone who knows the actual room number, office location of their instructor. So I better get this right, especially Okay, really quickly. Katrina? What was that? Come on, Katrina, I'm depending on you. Michael, no. They're not in my class.
Who's your instructor and where's the instructor located?
Professor Buck, and her office is C277.
Got one over here.
Mr. Joseph's class, office is C208.
Katrina, you want to try again? That says the syllabus, right?
L304B.
L304B. Very good. Very good.
I got you, Caldwell.
What is it?
C226. Right?
No. I was confused, Ken. I teach in C226 and the office is C224.
Oh, I know.
No, just the opposite.
Ah!
You teach in C224.
Katrina, you were right that second try. You were right that second try.
She just knows where her office is located. She doesn't know. She can find her way. Okay, if there are no other questions or no other comments, then this concludes the session in this Student Success Series. And we hope that you will attend other sessions coming up in the future that will also be beneficial to you.